There won't be a fan base in Europe that has spent longer looking at their team's respective league table more than Arsenal fans during the World Cup. That's because at the time of writing, the Gooners sit a scarcely believable 5 points clear of Pep Guardiola's Man City, winners of 4 of the last 5 Premier League titles. It's not like the Sky Blues are having a particularly poor season. With their 32 points after 14 games, their joint best tally in any of the last 3 campaigns. But you can rest assured they will not relinquish their title easily, and Arsenal have to be ready. With that in mind, we think that Arteta's side should sign one player in January in an effort to get over the line. Here are our 3 suggestions as to who that could be. Midfield: Enzo Fernandez. Linked with Wolves in the summer before joining Benfica in a €10 million switch, former River Plate midfielder Enzo Fernandez has been nothing short of sensational so far this season. Playing at the base of Roger Schmidt's midfield alongside a resurgent Florentino Luis, he steered the Eagles through a faultless first few months of the campaign, with the 37-time Portuguese champions unbeaten after 25 games. Remarkably, this included wins home and away against Juventus and back-to-back draws against PSG, which saw them top their Champions League group for the first time since 2011-12, helping to set up a very winnable last 16 tie against Club Brugge. Given the fact Fernandez will still have 4.5 years to run on his contract in January, has already been linked with the likes of Man City, Man United, Liverpool and Milan to name but 4, and could quite feasibly end the season with a domestic treble and Champions League run, persuading Benfica to part ways with their new star is going to cost an insane amount of money. But it may well be worth pursuing for Arteta, especially given the fact that his midfield options look a little light. Whilst Thomas Partey's form has been excellent this season, with the defensive nous and control he offers allowing Xhaka to push further forward and wreak havoc on opposition defences, the Ghanaian is injury prone. The 29-year-old is yet to start over 23 league games in a season for Arsenal, and has only topped that tally once in the 7 seasons since his La Liga debut for Atletico Madrid. It's worth noting that Arsenal only won 5 of the 14, or 36% of the league games he missed in 21-22, compared to their 67% win rate with him in the side. And their only Premier League defeat this term at Old Trafford in October came with Partey sidelined with a thigh injury. Mohamed El Neni, now in his 7th season with the club, can deputise, but given he's missed 16 games this season with his own issues, signing another midfielder wouldn't go amiss, especially with Albert Sambi Lokonga proving more suitable as an 8 than 6. Despite playing for a Benfica side that have averaged over 66% possession this term, a tally topped only by Man City's 67% in Europe's top 5 leagues, Fernandez still makes a very useful 3.3 defensive actions per 90, only 0.3 less than Partey. His dribbling may be unremarkable with his 0.3 successful take-ons, the same as William Saliba this term, but like the Frenchman, it's his ability on the ball that really stands out. He is quite simply a passing metronome, with his 1,226 completed passes more than anyone else in Europe's top 5 leagues, with Rodri, Upamecano and Verratti the only other players to top 1,200. But he's not just passing for the sake of it, with 9.5 per 90 of them progressive, which means they go 10 yards towards the opponent's goal. For context, Partey completes just 4.9, Rodri 5.7, whilst an elite creator like De Bruyne only completes 5.6. The closest to him in that sense is someone like Joshua Kimmich, commonly considered one of the best midfielders of his generation, and even he only completes 8.8, showing just how unique Fernandez's ability to break the lines is. Unsurprisingly, this often creates a number of opportunities for his teammates with his 4.9 shot creating actions per 90, more than Saka's 4.7 and Martinelli's 3.7, let alone Partey's 2.7. After a starring role in Argentina's World Cup, which included an assist and a wonderful strike versus Mexico, Fernandez is the top of everyone's wish list right now. Arsenal should make a move while they still can. Attack: Mykhailo Mudryk. Whilst Fernandez might prove nigh on impossible to sign in January, Shakhtar Donetsk sensation Mykhailo Mudryk has made it perfectly clear he'll be very open to moving to the Emirates. Linked with a €50 million move to Arsenal during the summer, the Metro and numerous other news sources have now claimed the 13-time Ukrainian champions are now asking for as much as €100 million for their 21-year-old star, with their sporting director Dario Serna confirming to The Athletic that anyone wanting to sign him must pay huge money, outlining Grealish, Antony and Sancho, who will cost at least £70 million as the sort of fee he'd be looking for. Mudryk himself has responded, outlining his displeasure at the club's stance, telling Sport Arena, "The amount of €100 million puts a barrier for my transition to the top championship, which I so dreamed of. I can't say that my dream was killed, but wounded that's for sure." And what has been perfectly clear over the last few weeks is that his dream could include Arsenal. He told Vlada Sedan, the wife of Ukrainian teammate and Arsenal left-back Alexander Zinchenko, that if there was an option of being a bench player at Real Madrid or a starter for Arsenal, I'd probably choose Arsenal. The arrival of the Krasnodar-born winger is a tantalising prospect for the Gunners faithful, who have stood and admired his Champions League performances from afar, with Mudryk's blistering pace on the break and calmness in the box, giving Real Madrid, RB Leipzig and Celtic consistent headaches. While Shakhtar's 4-0 defeat at home to RB Leipzig may have seen them drop down to the Europa League and set up a February tie against Rennes, Mudryk's performances, which saw him finish with 3 goals and 2 assists in 6 games, showed him to be a player of Champions League quality. And he's not simply saving it for the bright lights of Europe either, with his 7 goals and 6 assists in 12 Ukrainian Premier League games, the most in the division, coming at an average of 1.3 goals and assists per 90, showing that he has clearly outgrown the league. For context, only 3 players in Europe's top 5 leagues, Choupo-Moting, Lewandowski and Haaland, are contributing over 1 goal and an assist per 90. His 1.6 shots and 0.9 key passes per 90 in the Champions League might sound unremarkable, and his dribble success rate of a measly 30% definitely needs to improve, but it's the chaos that his raw pace creates that is the most enticing part of his game. Figures released by UEFA showed that Mudryk was clocked at 36.6 km per hour, the fastest time in this year's competition, ahead of Ousmane Dembele and Rafa Leao. Can you imagine facing the relentless probing of Gabriel Martinelli for 70 minutes, and then see Mudryk coming onto the field? We can imagine a spate of Premier League retirements next summer, if this move materialises. Striker, Beto. Arsenal are currently averaging an excellent 2.4 goals per game and are on track to finish with 89 goals to their name. That's more than all but 2 of the 10 Premier League winners in the 10 years leading up to Pep Guardiola's first title in 2017-18. But the Spaniard's arrival has moved the goalposts, and his side have only scored less than 95 in one of the last 5 seasons. Put shortly, we think Arsenal needs some more goals in their side. And given Gabriel Jesus' injury picked up in Qatar, which is expected to keep him out of action for around 3 months, that need has become a necessity. Someone like Arkadiusz Milik with his consistent goal-scoring record and top-level experience would have been perfect, but whilst Marseille are probably willing to sell him next summer, they'd have to terminate his loan move to Juventus in order to part ways with him in January, something that appears unlikely. Our shout therefore is Udinese forward Beto. Signed by Lizabrete initially on loan from Portimonense, the 24-year-old wasted little time adapting to his new surroundings, with his 11 league goals last term helping his side finish comfortably in mid-table. He's well on his way to topping that tally this term, with his 6 goals only bettered by 5 players, and level with some of Serie A's elite forwards like Vlahovic, Immobile, Dzeko and Rafa Leao. And what makes Beto particularly attractive for Arsenal is that he's already fulfilling the role that he'd be asked of at Arsenal in the long term, with 8 of his 15 Serie A appearances coming off the bench, a role that he'd have to get used to when Jesus returns to full fitness. But it doesn't stop him from having the desired impact though, with the striker operating at 0.68 expected goals and assists per 90, a marginal improvement on last year's 0.63, showing that this form is no fluke. With Gabriel Jesus the only player to top that on 0.78 in Arsenal's squad, we can't help think that with his 6'4" frame, he'd offer Arteta a more physical alternative to put on late in games. With his market value standing at just €13 million, we think Beto is the perfect winter recruit for Arteta. Land any of these 3 signings, and their faint title chances will drastically increase. So guys, that was our rundown of 3 January signings to win Arsenal the league. What did you guys think of the rundown, and who else could they sign in January to help them get over the line? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to EuroFootball Daily with notifications turned on, and I'll catch you next time.